Hi, I'm Tracey Hill.
And I'm Brandi Smits.
And we are reading Where'd You Go Bernadette by Maria Semple. To her Microsoft guru husband, Bernadette is a fearlessly opinionated partner. To fellow private school mothers in Seattle, she's a disgrace. To design mavens, she's a revolutionary architect. And to 15-year-old B, she's a best friend and simply mom. B has aced her report card and claimed her reward, a family trip to Antarctica. For Bernadette, who has become increasingly agoraphobic, such a trip is problematic. Then Bernadette disappears.
I know why it's convenient for you if Mom killed herself. Until I started saying the words, I had no idea they were tamped down in my stomach. Because you were cheating on her, and it gets you off the hook because you can go blah, blah, blah. She was crazy all along. B, that's not true. You look for horses, I said. While you spent your whole life at work, Mom and I were having the best, funnest time ever. Mom and I lived for each other. She wouldn't do anything close to getting drunk and walking next to a ship's balcony because it would mean that she might never see me again. That you think she would shows how little you know about her. You look for horses, Dad.
Referring to the adage, when you hear hoofbeats, think horses, not zebras.
Exactly.
And so they're trying to figure out what happened to Bernadette because they had this wonderful trip all planned and the kid chose it and was so psyched up to go, and the dad was even into the whole idea of going, and then odd things started happening right before the trip, and then she vanishes.
I will say, though, if anyone is going to be a zebra and not a horse, it's probably going to be Bernadette.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
I mean, eccentric hermit is not only like
doesn't
part of it,
begin to describe it.
Yeah, like her whole past, and she was a famous architect, and everyone knew her, and then she just went into this little hobbit hole of just almost. I kind of like view Bernadette like an adult Pippi Longstocking. How like she had her house, and her house was her everything.
Yeah.
With her.
Yeah, she built this amazing house, and then
Bernadette didn't have a horse and monkey though.
Right.
I want to
make
that really clear. But yeah, and I think it's also really cool how the story is told because we never really hear Bernadette speak ever.
No, we really don't. Very precious little, and most of it, the structure of the book is really interesting because it's told through different pieces of correspondence, and it's not your typical, you know how to say the word better.
Like it's not a non-linear story.
Yeah, it's not a non-linear story.
Or it is a non-linear story.
It's just like emails and voicemails and
epistolatory.
Thank
That's
you.
The word.
That's the word. Okay, so it's not just a letters back and forth between people. There's emails and memos and announcements and things like that, and they're all gathered together. And first it was like, wow, why are all these pulled together? And as the story unfolds, it starts to make sense why all these documents are showing up and why it's being told in a series of documents and why B is the only character who actually narrates anything in the first person.
Right. It's really interesting because the entire book paints who Bernadette is as a person, and every single person has a different experience or a different perspective. And like for example, the one PTA woman at B's school, which is super top notch, hoity-toity.
Yeah, special Seattle's best kind of thing.
But that woman hates Bernadette because of the fact that she doesn't fit into the mold.
Yeah, and Bernadette absolutely refuses to be one of the moms. Like everyone at B's school is just this cluster of volunteerism and communal parenting and stuff, and Bernadette absolutely flat out refuses to even get out of the car to walk her kid inside like everyone else thinks that you're supposed to. But Bernadette doesn't do things the way other people are supposed to. She's got her husband and her kid holed up in this giant ruin of a house that's just falling apart, and yet she was a world famous architect and so admired. And so there's a mystery here. It's not just why is she missing, but what happened to her to turn her from this amazing public creature into someone that was so incredibly private, who won't even go to the most desolate place on earth with her kid.
And all of those things are explained in the book.
Yes,
You'll find out why
beautifully explained too.
It's very funny. It's very touching.
Yeah.
Like the part that I read is like that part of like the Oscars part, like if it was being nominated for an Academy Award, that would be like
it was
the
a
scene.
good.
That's just
yeah,
like the intense
it was a
scene.
good moment.
But
totally good moment.
it's also incredibly funny. There's a lot of humor in it. I actually listened to this one on audio, which at first I was kind of wary about it because I'm like, okay, it's written in correspondence, so how is that going to work as an audiobook? But actually it was really great, and I was really bummed when it was over because I just liked the style so much. It was really good.
Yeah, and even in print, you could so clearly hear the different voices going on with the different correspondents, so you get to know all of these characters purely through their own words, none of which they're really talking about themselves, but yet they're really revealing who they are through their correspondence. And I gotta say, at first, I really didn't think it was all that funny, and I couldn't stand anybody in the book. And as it went on, the humor became more refined, or maybe it's just that the author had built up more background so that the humor that did come up was funnier. And she really takes a lot of gentle jabs at Seattle as a place to live and at the residents there and such. But she really built up so beautifully to show us, okay, here's what the setting was. Here's who Bernadette is, even though you're not really going to hear Bernadette talk about herself that much. And we do finally get to the heart of what's going on, and it's pretty amazing.
Yeah, it's really well built. This is a very well constructed story.
Yeah.
And the fact that it's a non-linear story and there's really no plot. Like there's no like, the fact that she's missing is the only thing that matters in the book,
that's
but
the thing.
that's not even something that happens until like
It's late.
well into the book.
Yeah.
So it's kind of just a character building exercise, but it's just really well done.
Yeah, yeah.
So obviously, I really enjoyed this book. I gave it 4 stars,
Yeah,
for sure.
and
like, I would read anything else this woman wrote just because it's different and it's unique and it's entertaining.
Yeah, and I feel very strongly about it. You know, try to be really super picky, but I still would give it a strong 3.5 stars. It's got some of the most insightful and really beautiful passages that I've read in a long time.
Today we read Where'd You Go Bernadette by Maria Semple. Just remember that any books that you hear us review on Hardcover Feedback can be found at your local public library.